Hi everybody. Today we're going to start looking at using a wax wrap to wrap food and cover dishes in the fridges, etc. within the home. Benefits of this is that a wax wrap, one of these covered with melted beeswax in it, reduces the amount of the soft plastic that we're using in our environment. It's reusable, and can be wiped down, etc. We're starting off, we've just got some fabric that I have cut into squares with pinking shears. The fabric is a very soft fabric. This actually is a silk, it's rather nice, and can be so I've cut it with pinking shears and that stops the fraying. However, if you don't have pinking shears, you might want to just give it a small hem if you're going to keep them forever and ever and ever, or they're perfectly okay just having no border on them all. The benefit, I only use scraps of fabrics, and basically they're about 30 centimetres squares, depending on what they're going to be going on to. These ones, I just made some smaller ones that are just big enough to cover a bowl of leftovers that's going into the fridge. Okay, so we're just going to pause that for a moment while I move everything. Okay, I'm hoping I'm back. There's no real easy way of doing this. So what I have done here is I've set up my ironing board. I do have an old towel on the ironing board, just in case of spills. I have some baking paper, 2 pieces that I'll use, and my wax. This is how I have my wax. You probably can buy it. That's about 100 grams of wax, and that's as much as I have grated off to do this wrap today. I would expect that you get potentially 3 or 4 wraps out of a block that size. As a beekeeper, I often have wax on hand, but you can buy it over the net. What I did here was I just got a very strong knife and just peeled the wax off. You can use a grater, a kitchen grater, but do be aware that anything you use in for wax preparation never coming clean again. So don't use your best kitchen one. So it's a very simple process. My iron is set on, it's a low heat, but every iron is different, so choose your own heat. Wax melts at 68 degrees approximately, so it doesn't need to be too hot. So what I've done here is I've laid down 1 piece of the baking paper. I'll put down a piece of fabric and I will put the wax in and this baking paper over the top. If your piece of fabric is larger than your baking paper, just do a corner at a time and that's fine. The amount of wax I'm going to put in and just sprinkling it over the fabric. I'm going to line up my 2 pieces of paper to the same line, and then I'm just ironing it out. This might need to be a little bit, you can see this might need to be a little bit warmer, and you'll gauge yourself. And basically you're just melting the wax and it will become in its liquid form. You can just push it around your baking paper so it's off the edge of your fabric. I hope you can see that bit is done. Always remember that wax in its liquid state is hot. I do have asbestos fingers, my children tell me, so I'm quite happy that I'm not going to burn myself. I'll put a little bit more up here on this edge here. Just melt that in. Interesting to see that the dye is actually coming out of this fabric. Now I have already pre-washed this fabric, so that's interesting to see that's happening. The benefit of you choosing your own fabrics, and you may have a selection of offcuts of fabrics that are going to be suitable to do this, is that you get to choose. Green is what wraps the avocados in. Yellow is what the cheese gets wrapped in. Maybe a red fabric for your tomatoes, and you can make them to the size you want. Now you can see that that is totally covered, and this just needs to hang up for a moment, or just put that in a very just an airy place. This is already dry here on the corner. It doesn't take a moment to do, but if you were doing this with the kids, what you could do is get a coat hanger and just fold that over the bottom of the coat hanger to dry for a moment. And there it is, one blob of wax in the middle, which I will just smooth out. These baking sheets, the baking paper, you can reuse. There is still wax on there. It can be reused time and time again. And your wax wrap, once it's dry, to use it, you just get your bowl, and it's just a case of putting your wax over and then just folding down. And the heat of your hands will actually melt that wax into the bowl. So when it goes into the fridge, it's nicely sealed. And when it's you used your bowl, just a damp cloth to wipe it down. After a while, the wax does become soft, and they tend to not be as sticky. And so you can just get your baking paper and just re-iron them. So simply wax wraps, beeswax wraps. Fold it up, and it goes into the drawer where I used to store all my soft plastic. Enjoy.